Here, I see our next speaker. Let's bring him on if we can, guys. Yes, there he is. Anthony Tennyson. He's the CEO of Awakn Life Sciences, ticker AWKNF on the OTCQB. Anthony, good morning. How are we doing today?
I'm great. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to get to speak to you and to speak with your audience as well.
All right. I see your slides up on the screen. People behind me, producers, let's get them up. There we go. Mr. Tennyson, I'm going to give you the floor and let you take it away here. Tell us all about Awakn. Guys, psychedelics. Oh, wait, before we go, can you get rid of that message up on the screen that you can click hide right there? So it's going to bug me. Thank you. All right. We're talking addiction and we're talking psychedelics. Let's go to town.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony Tennyson. I'm the Chief Executive of Awakn Life Sciences. Awakn Life Sciences is a biotechnology company developing and delivering the next generation of psychedelic therapeutics, so that's drugs and therapies to be used in combination, to better treat addiction. We're publicly traded. We're listed on the NEO Exchange in Canada under the symbol AWKN and on the OTCQB under AWKNF. And we're also listed in Frankfurt in Europe under the ticker 954. In Awakn Life Sciences, we're a group of experts who are all leaders in our respective fields of psychiatry, psychology, and neurochemistry, who have joined together to make a real and permanent and hopefully lasting difference. We are driven relentlessly to make a genuine, positive, lasting impact on the lives of individuals, their families, and their communities who suffer with addiction and other mental health conditions. And we are doing this by developing and delivering groundbreaking therapeutic approaches to treat addiction. We're that biotechnology company, but we also have clinical operations. So this means we are both a cutting-edge biotech company developing new and more effective therapeutics to treat addiction, but we're also a clinical operator, delivering treatments in clinics we will own and operate in the UK and EU, which is a 400 million person, $20 trillion a year GDP territory, but also we'll deliver those therapeutics beyond those territories through licensing partnerships, starting with the US and Canada. We've structured the company to do two things, and we do those two things really well. We do development and we do delivery. On the development side, we are conducting research to develop those therapeutic packages that I mentioned before, drugs and therapies to be used together. We're working with ketamine and MDMA now to develop the therapies. And we are also developing our own next generation psychedelics. And we will bring those therapies and drugs together into a single therapeutics package in due course. We will also soon begin the development of a suite of enabling technologies to enable psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy to be delivered consistently and efficiently to better treat addiction. So not only are we a biotechnology company with a very, very deep, relevant, and highly commercializable IP portfolio, but we are also on the delivery side. We have near-term revenue streams, starting with clinics with revenue already starting. We have 2 clinics open. Licensing partnerships starting next fiscal year, and in due course, therapeutics commercialization starting in 2025 plus. So a biotechnology company with near-term revenue streams. It's a unique proposition. We've got an incredibly strong team. Some of the names I'll call out here, just in the interest of time, are Professor David Nutt, our Chief Research Officer, who is a global authority in the psychedelics industry and in the addiction treatment industry. He has published over 400 papers, written over 20 books, and he was the former advisor to the UK state on drug policy reform. Professor Celia Morgan is head of department in the University of Exeter. Professor Celia Morgan is a global authority on the use of ketamine to treat substance and behavioral addictions. She initiated and led the world's only trial for ketamine-assisted psychotherapy to treat alcohol use disorder, and that will be published in the American Journal of Psychiatry this calendar year. We've also got Dr. Ben Sessa, a leading authority in the psychedelics industry as our chief medical officer. And he and Laurie and David led the world's only trial for MDMA-assisted psychotherapy to treat alcohol use disorder. We've got an incredibly strong team of non-execs and non-exec directors and advisors, particularly calling out here Steve Page. Steve Page is the former CEO of the Priory Group, which is the largest privately owned addiction and mental health treatment service in the UK. It sold for 1 billion sterling in January of this year. So he's key in enabling us to scale our clinics platform and the delivery platform side of the business. We've got another serious range of individuals who are experts in their fields of drug discovery, preclinical and clinical stage research. So what is addiction and why are we so focused on it? Well, addiction is currently a poorly treated chronic medical disease involving complex interactions among brain circuits, genetics, an individual's environment, and their life experience. People with addiction typically use substances or engage in addictive behaviors that become compulsive and continue regardless or despite of the harmful consequences for them, their families, or their communities. We're focused on it because it is one of the biggest unmet medical needs of modern times. 20% of the planet suffer from a substance addiction, and another significant minority of people suffer with a behavioral addiction. Treatment rates tend to be low, and success rates for treatments tend to be equally low. Take alcohol use disorder, for example, that affects 5% of the planet. Typically speaking, there is a 75% failure rate with treatments for alcohol use disorder within the first 12 months. And because of that, only 16% of people with that disease seek treatment. So despite that high prevalence, but poor penetration and poor treatment results, it is already a significant market opportunity, with the global private addiction treatment industry worth about $17.5 billion today, and due to grow to $30 billion by the end of 2027. We view the marketplace as being potentially significantly larger, though. The prevalence of addictions, these are significant material problems. Alcohol use disorder, 5%, as I mentioned before, 390 million people. Tobacco, 1.3 billion people. Gambling disorder, up to 450 million people. Compulsive sexual behavior, which includes pornography addiction, up to 350 million people. These are chronic but poorly treated diseases. We are coming at treating this challenge in a revolutionary way, in a way that no other company has tried to do it before. And this is backed up by a lifetime of professional research from Professor David Nutt. We understand more about how addiction impacts and affects the brain than an awful lot of other companies. Typically what happens in a balanced brain, you've got 3 levels to your brain: learning, memory, and reward, your lower level functions; motivation and salience attribution are your mid-level functions; and cognitive control is your upper level functions. During a brain that has been repeatedly exposed to addictive substances and addictive behaviors, the cognitive control, or your personality, it loses control over the overall system. The reward and pleasure parts of the brain grow in size. The motivational driver part of the brain grows in size, and the connections between the lower level and mid-level functions grow. And people continually exhibit or consume addictive substances or exhibit addictive behaviors because of that change in brain mechanics. We're coming at this in a revolutionary way. We're using drugs to disrupt the connection between those brain circuits. And during the space and the space that disruption provides, we are providing and delivering proprietary psychotherapy to enable the cognitive part of the brain regain control over the overall system and hopefully deliver permanent and lasting improvements to individuals and their families who are suffering from addiction. This approach gives us the ability to speak across both behavioral addictions and substance addictions, and therefore gives us the ability to potentially grow the total addressable market significantly beyond that future $30 billion for substance addictions into something bigger, because we will also be treating behavioral addictions. So a bit of a deep dive into the development side of our business before I go into the delivery side of our business. So as I said, we're developing a therapeutics package, so drugs and therapies to be used in combination to better treat substance and behavioral addictions. We're working with ketamine in the near term and MDMA in the medium term to develop the therapy side of that therapeutics package. But we are also developing our own next generation psychedelics that will be specifically targeted at disrupting those brain circuits, but will do so in a much more efficient manner than existing psychedelics. We have made material progress over the last 12 to 16 months since we've established the company. We have acquired material assets that give us a long heritage in this industry, but also means we are operating both in clinical stage research, but also preclinical research. We have acquired the assets from the world's only clinical trial for ketamine to treat alcohol use disorder. It was a phase 2A/B trial, and it will be published in the American Journal of Psychiatry this calendar year. We are in the process of assessing how best to bring that research forward into phase 3. We acquired the IP and the team and the data from the world's only trial for MDMA-assisted psychotherapy to treat alcohol use disorder, the results of which were published in February of this year and show that MDMA-assisted psychotherapy delivered a 20% relapse rate versus an industry standard 75% relapse rate when treating alcohol use disorder that affects 5% of the planet or 350 million people. And likewise, we are looking to bring that forward from phase 2A into phase 2B. We have also initiated what we believe to be the first study of its kind to use psychedelics to treat a behavioral addiction. We have initiated a study to use ketamine in the treatment of gambling addiction, which affects anywhere up to 400 million people. And we are also running our own drug discovery program. So with our ketamine research program, as I said, we've acquired the assets from that phase 2A/B, phase 2A and phase 2B trial. Because ketamine is a Schedule II compound, we can deliver those services in our clinics today. And we're the only company in the world delivering evidence-backed ketamine-assisted psychotherapy for alcohol use disorder. We will also be licensing that IP into the addiction treatment industry in the US starting next fiscal year. And as I mentioned, we're looking to bring that research forward into phase 3 in due course. For our MDMA program, as I said, we've acquired the IP from that phase 2A trial. It was published, and it shows here, this black line, that MDMA-assisted psychotherapy is far more effective at treating alcohol use disorder than the existing treatments, with a 30 to 20% relapse rate versus a 75 to 75% relapse rate. And we are in the process of bringing that trial forward from phase 2A into phase 2B. And for our research program, our new chemical entity, our own drug discovery program, we've acquired 6 years worth of proprietary research from Professor David Nutt's consultancy company. And bearing in mind, David is a global authority in this industry. What we've acquired are details of newly discovered modes of action for MDMA. So we believe we know more about how MDMA works at a neurobiological level than any other company in the world. And we have partnered with Evotech, one of the world's leading drug discovery companies, to run a full drug discovery program. We started that drug discovery program on the 10th of June. We have a 4-month stage gate on the first 10-month program with them, and that was on the 10th of October. We're analyzing the results, and we will be making an announcement in due course. But we are particularly excited about this program because ideally we will be developing a version of MDMA that works like MDMA, but in a much shorter treatment window. And if you think about it, MDMA takes 6 hours to work with a 6-hour recovery window, which is a challenge from the clinic's commercialization model and indeed from the public healthcare model. So we're looking to develop something that works as well as that, is specifically targeted to disrupting the brain circuits, but does so in a more efficient time manner. So that's just what we're doing in the development side of the business. Active, making massive progress on preclinical and clinical research to develop a suite of proprietary therapies and drugs and therapeutics packages to treat addiction, which affects substance addiction, affects 20% of the population of the planet, and behavioral addictions affects another significant minority of people. And those are currently poorly treated conditions that have a serious negative impact on individuals, their families, and communities. But not only that, we are a biotechnology company with near-term revenue starting already and another revenue stream to start next fiscal year. So in our clinics, we're providing hope for the status quo, for those for whom the status quo is not working, by combining the proven therapeutic potential of psychedelics and psychotherapy together to treat addiction and other mental health conditions. So in our clinics, we will treat substance and behavioral addiction, but also anxiety, depression, PTSD, and eating disorders. We have 2 clinics operational already in Oslo and Bristol in the UK, Oslo and Norway and Bristol in the UK. We have a 3rd clinic that is nearing completion of renovations and will be open this year in London. And the goal is to have 20 clinics open by the end of 2024. On average, each clinic will generate about 4 million sterling top line. So as we go into FY25, we are a biotechnology company that will have an 80 million sterling or about $110 million US revenue run rate. We believe we can operate that business at a relatively healthy margin. So it will give us the ability as a biotechnology company to reinvest free cash flow from that business unit back into our research business on an annual non-dilutive manner. We also will be accessing the North American market through a licensing partnerships model. But just in the interest of time, I'll just focus on some other parts of the business, but happy to take questions on that afterwards. We've got a very clean cap table, 24.6 common shares and 28.6 million shares fully diluted. No debt. Insiders own about 25% of the company. This is a really, really key 2 slides. This is where we stack up against the competition. You can see the main players in this industry, MAPS, Compass, Cybin, MindMed, all up here in the research. We have acquired assets in phase 2A and phase 2B and are looking to bring those forward and are in the process of bringing those forward into the respective next stages. So we are at the leading edge of the industry in psychedelics research and far ahead of anyone in the area of psychedelics for addiction. If you spin this around and look at this through a slightly different lens, which is the fully diluted markup lens, you can say these are the tier 1 players in the industry. MAPS aren't here because they're not publicly traded, and Atai isn't listed here because it's more of a portfolio play rather than a pure psychedelics play. Compass, phase 2B and phase 2A, MindMed, phase 2A, phase 1, Cybin, phase 2A. We are in the same level of maturity as these leading players in the industry and are far ahead of our peers by market cap. And I'm sure you can all do the maths to appreciate the upside available in our stock. So why us? Well, we have multiple scalable revenue streams in clinics this year, partnerships next year, therapeutics commercialization from 25 onwards. We have a laser focus on using psychedelics to treat addiction, which is one of the biggest unmet medical needs of our times. We have a revolutionary approach to treating addiction, which gives us a significant competitive advantage against the incumbents. We have a strong IP portfolio with patents filed, IP acquired from existing clinical trials, and further clinical trials planned. We have the leading team in the industry globally on the use of psychedelics to treat addiction in Nutt, Sessa, Morgan, McNulty, and Barbara Mason, and Professor Harriet DeWitt. And we are global research leaders in the field of psychedelics to treat addiction. I'm happy to pause now and take any questions.
Well, what a coincidence, because I have some questions for you from the chat. A couple questions stemming around legalization. How do you feel about that right now? Because we've been waiting on cannabis seemingly for a long time. I think maybe we got too excited after the election of Joe Biden and the Democrats took both houses of Congress. Nothing's really happened on that front in the last, really since then. So where are you at?
Well, so we believe in a few things in this company. One of the core tenets of our beliefs is the democratization of psychedelics. And the democratization of psychedelics means running psychedelics through the research programs all the way through to pivotal trial and marketing authorization. So we and others can secure marketing authorization, on-label use, and therefore reimbursement from the insurance markets and the healthcare systems US side, but also support from the public healthcare systems in the UK, EU, which is a 400 million person territory in our core market.
Fair.
So we believe legalization will occur when companies like us run these compounds through the full pharmaceutical, traditional pharmaceutical model. And that is the approach that we're taking. These are medicines, and they should be legalized once companies like us prove that they are efficacious and safe.
Right. I obviously you expect legalization to occur. I guess I should have phrased it like, do you have, are you hinged on any timeline, or, I mean, are you feeling more or less comfortable than you were, a year ago about that?
Well, again, I don't think my level of comfort or the maturity around the debate really, and excuse me for being blunt, matters.
Okay.
Ketamine is a Schedule 2 compound in the UK and between 2 and 3 on most international markets. So experienced doctors are, it's allowed, it's on label as a painkiller and as an anesthetic. Doctors are permitted to prescribe ketamine off label. So it's beholden on us to run ketamine through to secure on-label use for mental health and addiction. Companies like MAPS are doing a brilliant job at moving MDMA through the regulatory hurdles for PTSD. We're looking to push it through the regulatory hurdles for addiction. So again, I don't think there needs to be political support on this. This is just a process that one has to go through.
Got it.
The health regulators, the MHRA in the UK, the FDA in the US, Health Canada. It's just a process.
Got it. Anthony Tennyson is the CEO of Awakn Life Sciences. I am so interested in this space because it is so emerging, and I see this. I say this every time I talk with anyone in the spaces. I'm still amazed and happy, frankly, that we're able to have these conversations about psychedelics from a medical point of view, because that's not the case. That's not how it was when I grew up. So
yeah. Same here. So I've got a deep personal interest in it from my youth, but also observing how ineffective treatments are for family members for mental health issues, but also being Irish, I've seen what alcohol has done to society.
Yeah,
and it's time for a new approach.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if you're the first Irishman we've had on this conference, but if you are, then congratulations, Anthony. A pleasure to learn about the company. Thanks a lot for coming on today.
Thank you very much. Take care.